And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. You'll have to excuse me. A, this episode of the Constitutionals is late. And B, hold on. This is episode, what is this, 202 of the premier podcast for the website. Okay, and B, Best Buy is currently releasing the what is it called? The Xbox Series X. They have some inventory, and they're doing this thing where every few minutes they're going to release more inventory. So I'm not going to be looking at the camera the entire time of this show, but just you understand that I am paying attention. You have me. You have my full attention, with the exception of every so often I will check. If you're watching the video, you only notice. Otherwise, for the audio, you won't know a thing. You won't know a thing. You'll see that I'm lit very strangely, very oddly. I do not have my iPad with me. It is currently sitting next to the sofa where the charging cable is, where the USB-C cable is. Now, I could bring the cable over here. I refuse to. And it is updating to iPadOS 14.5. This is a very special update because it includes support for the DualShock 5 and the Xbox Core controller, the new controllers that came out with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X respectively. I have a Core controller, even though I do not have an Xbox Series X. It does work with the Xbox One. It also works with Android and now iOS. I can't wait to play SpongeBob Rehydrated. That's a game. That is a remake of the SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom that came out years on the PlayStation 2 and GameCube, and I believe the original Xbox. And it was remade. You can get it on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. And then a couple of months ago, I saw it's available on the on the iOS store, and I assume Android store as well. And now I think it's on Google Stadia. I think I got it for free on Google Stadia. And I don't play Stadia, but I do have a trial for Stadia for 3 months that I got from Lenovo, I think. So that ends in July, I believe. Doors open on the patio. Nova is outside, sitting in the sun. I believe a dog barked at her earlier. Don't know how the dog saw that far up. So there's that. Hey, special late episode of the Constitutionals. I was going to record this on Saturday. Did not feel like doing it on Friday. And then Saturday was the same deal. And then I thought, well, why not just save it for after the Oscars? Because I don't want to talk about the Oscars that happened on Sunday on a Thursday episode. So I'll just do a Monday episode. You might, again, the door's open. You might hear some slamming from outdoors. I can hear talking. I can hear straight up talking in this microphone. It's not just for me. So let's talk about the Oscars. We're in the middle of a pandemic. They had to hold the Oscars in a train station last night, and people sat at slightly distant tables. I assume everybody there got their shots, vaccinations. I know I have mine, baby. Both, baby. And, for what it's worth, it was very diverse winners, very diverse people there. You could tell that you could tell who the winners were based on what venue they were at. So this is held in, I think, 2 or 3 different venues. And the main one was the train station where everybody was seated. And then the secondary one was a theater somewhere. And nobody from the theater won. Obviously they had representatives at the train station, were in the dining hall. But gotta say, if Gary Oldman were to win an award for, his, I guess, whatever, for Mank or whatever, it would be odd to see him try to collect the award. I never take a sip mid podcast, but here I am doing so. So That's what you have to deal with over there. All in all, good Oscars. Lowest rated Oscars of all time. The first time hitting under 10 million, I believe the headline is what I saw. It's weird. I'm juggling. Oh god, I'm juggling tabs, going back and forth between this Best Buy thing. I gotta get this Series X. Don't have a 4K TV, but I want the Series X. So this was the longest waited Oscars. The Father took home Best Picture, and then the broadcast just ended. The Father, Anthony Hopkins, The Father, nabbed Best Actor, and then it just ended. Best Picture was Nomadland, which deservedly so. And the broadcast just ended at like 11:20 or whatever it was. When they said Anthony Hopkins wins, he's not here at the Oscars. Goodbye. And he lost, and he won, and then he put it up on Instagram, some type of tribute to Chadwick Boseman. It's windy outside, so the door is closing by itself. I put this giant jug of water that I used to water my plants with in front of it. I don't know if people are right outside and having a conversation, but I'm recording a podcast here. Frances McDormand won. Daniel Kaluuya won as well. And the woman, Yoo Jung-yoon, won for Minari. She played the grandmother. A very great speech, very fun. Chloe Zhao made history as well. She was the second woman and the first woman of color to win an Oscar for directing. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom took home costuming, makeup, and hairstyle. Netflix got 7 trophies. And let's see, Hulu got 2, I believe. 2 other movies won. Riz Ahmed was shut out. He should have. Sound of Metal should have won something. Sound of Metal is such a good movie, such a great film. But all in all, I think it was a fine production for the Oscars. I think they did the best of what they could. Now, there was the in memoriam section lasted, I would say, 3 minutes. No live performance. I don't think they could have done that. They didn't have any live performances for music. Everything was pre-recorded, and they aired it in the pre-show. And I was watching the pre-show, and I was very concerned that like all the songs were just going to be played, and then 3 songs in, I was right. And so for the in memoriam, things were going by so fast. They would be like, Chadwick Boseman, this person, and then they would slow down for 2 seconds on somebody big, and they keep going super fast. And I thought it was just so funny, to the point where I had to laugh at the insanity that this thing was going by so quickly. Just come on. And then they missed people. Naya Rivera and Jessica Walter were among the names not seen. They miss people every year. I mean, it's crazy. If you're gonna go that fast, throw in the people that were missing this time. I mean, Jesus, at this point. The birds are tweeting. Tweet. And like regular Twitter, they're probably saying some racist things. Hey, but again, all in all, I think it was a fine Oscars. They are missing a host, and I know the model now for these award shows is to not have, or for the major award shows, is to not have a host, not have somebody usher in. We're missing monologues and we're missing all this other stuff and bits and stuff. I think the Oscars, the Globes, and the Emmys all need some type of host, and Grammys all need some type of host in order to to show that like how prestigious they are. Just carry things along. Don't make things look so disjointed. Because I mean, at the end of the day, every single one of these shows without a host looks like it was just put together. And yeah, you can have Regina King and Brad Pitt and Viola Davis and different people do little sections, but it's just kind of strange. But they did have Lil Rel Howery as a correspondent for some reason, and he did a great job. He was a very funny guy. And Glenn Close did the butt. As soon as they went to her, I went, this is going to be a scripted bit. She recited encyclopedic knowledge, if I was Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother, encyclopedic knowledge about the butt, the song "The Butt" that was not nominated for an Oscar. Then she got up and did "The Butt." And about an hour ago, I was setting up. I'm planning out news time. This week's news time is actually going to come a lot faster because it's about the Oscars, and it was planned out a year ago. And some of it was a lot of it's not all evergreen, but I saw an article that said Questlove and one of the producers put together that segment so that something so they could have somebody of such prestige do that. I didn't read the article, but it's interesting. Okay, so let's move on. This is all last week's news at this point, but I had to cover the Oscars. I had to for my listeners, my dozen of listeners. This next one comes from Deadline, written by Dade Hayes. HBO and HBO Max add 2.7 million subscribers in Q1. AT&T CEO John Stankey declines to offer revised streaming metrics. Okay. The subscriber count for HBO and HBO Max, which I guess since they're the same, since it's a streamer and it's a pay cable channel, they can include the numbers, is now a total of 44.2 million people. Last year when HBO Max launched, I signed up for it and got that $11.99 offer for a year, and they charged me for the last time $11.99, and it's going to go up to $15 in May. Man, anyway, $11.99 per month. Excuse me, if I didn't say that before. I don't remember what I said on this stupid show. And I think the driving force of that is movies like Godzilla vs. King Kong. I think people signed up just for Wonder Woman 1984 and Zack Snyder's Justice League and Godzilla vs. Kong. And now Mortal Kombat, which, Jesus, I watched that Friday, and good Lord, that is a good movie. Too fast. Way too fast. Way too fast. And I did not go in with low expectations. I went in expecting to see a movie that was dedicated to the comic book, to the video game, as much as Sonic the Hedgehog is dedicated to that video game. Now, to that extent, the Sonic the Hedgehog sequel is going to include not just Tails, but also Knuckles. So that I pray, that they get more into the lore of Sonic the Hedgehog. Have Big the Cat just pop up for a second, the crocodile, the bee, Rouge, the sexy bat, Shadow. Oh God, if Eggman created Shadow for the movie, and God, it's so wonderful. Anywho, back to this HBO thing. So I think that was driven. I think the numbers were driven to HBO Max for movies, for these big streaming movies. Now they're not doing this again next year. They've already come out and said that. Stanky said the patterns are similar for customer behavior, once it comes to HBO Max, to those on the other subscription streaming outlets. So that means they stay for what they want, they leave for what they don't need, for when that stuff is gone or when they finish it. But 2.7 million more people in Q1 is nothing to balk at. Total revenue hit $43.9 billion, up 3%. Ahead of Wall Street. What Wall Street bet around that. But debt is going to continue to be a concern for AT&T through the investors' eyes. They're still trying to burn off other parts of their businesses so that they could have, this Xbox thing has not moved in such a long time. They're still trying to burn off other parts of their businesses. They do own Rooster Teeth, I believe. And it was rumored that they're looking to sell that. This internet thing is not proving to be the best for them. I'm so excited. I had that song stuck in my head right now. But HBO Max is, I mean, they're turning their focus to that, to the platform, because it's just it's the thing that they can count on, versus people are, not signing up for DirecTV anymore, or AT&T itself isn't the best and the biggest cell provider now that T-Mobile was merged with Sprint, and Verizon continues to dominate. I mean, but the same thing can be said, when AT&T first, was this big mega thing in the early 2000s, and then they broke up. AT&T and Singular, and Bell South, and all. Well, the Bell things. Bell South was down here. I don't know what it's called, wherever you're from, you jerk. But then they remerged. I mean, if one company does it, you can't get mad at T-Mobile and Sprint doing it. You can't get mad at Viacom and CBS doing it. If you're gonna let one company do it, then everybody's got to do it. You give a mouse a cookie. Title. Okay, let's move on. Sony's other new deal with Disney is what I wrote in my notes. This comes from Engadget, written by R. Lawler. Oh, they have a black writer. I didn't know that. Sony, if you don't know, a couple of weeks ago, made a deal with Netflix to say that they're going to be able, Netflix is going to be able to get Sony's movies like Venom 2, Spider-Man Far From Home. Sorry, something just happened. I don't know what that was. Spider-Man Far From Home, and what other things does Sony do? Some type of Seth Rogen film. And they're going to get the rights for their theatrical streaming releases starting in 2022, as well as catalog titles, old and new, and originals. So this is it's a deal for Sony. And I mean, in short, this is a deal for Sony to take that stuff that they're releasing on in theaters, and then put it onto Netflix, so it has a second life after it after it leaves the theaters. And then this is a way for Sony to also not start up their own streaming service, but if they want to produce something that they think is going to do better on streaming, to do it for Netflix. That's I think it's truly a great deal for both companies. So now, wait, hold on. So let me explain. This comes from Lawler. Netflix's deal secures exclusive U.S. rights for the period after the movies are released. Yeah, I just explained that. Now, there's a new deal. We'll call it the Green New Deal, the Red New Deal, the Blue New Deal. What color is Disney? Blue. That's what color their app is, Disney Plus is. The Blue New Deal. Just hit the mic arm. Disney's announced a licensing deal with Sony Pictures for theatrical releases from 2022 to 2026, as well as older catalog titles. So, this is the thing. Netflix gets the exclusive U.S. rights after the movies are released theatrically and on Blu-ray video on demand about 9 months after they come out in theaters. Disney's deal starts after that, for the window where the movies usually run on cable TV. So like Fast and Furious 9, that event, that releases in theaters in July, comes out. FXX gets it on May of next year, and then they run that into the ground. So that's what that deal is. But for the window where these movies usually run on cable and broadcast networks with ads, as Deadline mentions, this deal follows up on a similar one Sony had with the now Disney-owned FX network. See, I was right. So it basically means Disney Plus gets, Spider-Man Far From Home after Netflix has it for a couple of months. Other than the new movies, the deal also secures streaming rights for older movies, including Spider-Man movies that have been missing from the MCU set on Disney Plus, and even into the Spider-Verse, after they have the exclusivity for Netflix expires. So that means a couple of months. other than Disney Plus and the company's various cable networks. This also covers Hulu, and a note in the press release said it will add, quote, a significant number of library titles starting in June. This is a lot of money. This is a huge deal for Sony. This is, in terms of the winner in this outlook, it's got to be Sony. It's got to be Sony. Disney, Netflix are tied for second on the winners, but Sony is the one making big on this because they don't want to do the costly thing of starting up their own streaming platform, saying a Paramount Plus kind of nature, and so relying on the two, hands down, the two most popular streaming platforms, the two most popular networks right now. I mean, come on. So it's a good deal for Sony. So, in short, Sony movies head to Netflix. In a couple of months, they can also go to Disney Plus. Boom. God, I have not seen. So what happens is, what Best Buy is doing right now is they only have a certain amount of Xboxes, and so they're doing an extra step so that bots can't get them and people can't resell these Xboxes for, instead of $500, $700. So what they're doing is they're forcing you to wait, and then like the checkout button literally says, "Please wait." And then if they have some more come in, which I mean at this point I doubt they are, unless every time I click away it's going yellow, and you can add it to your cart and they're going to save it in your cart and then you can check out. But I ain't seen nothing. This next one comes from Variety. Audiences prefer films with diverse casts according to UCLA study, written by Lise Schaefer. Went the opposite direction in pronouncing that. So UCLA does its annual Hollywood Diversity Report. This year is called Pandemic in Progress. Reports that in 2020, films with casts made up of more than 41% to 50% minorities took home the highest median gross at the box office, while films that had cast with less than 11% minority performed the worst. Movies like The Father. Oh my God. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh my God. Oh, it says sold out now. This is so stupid. I commented not even a minute ago talking about how Best Buy it puts the Series X and makes it available and you have to add it to your cart. And I was like, maybe every time I turn away from the tab, it goes yellow. I go back in the middle of the story, reciting whatever BS I'm talking about, and it says add to cart, and I click it, and then it says due to high demand. What kind of... I'm so angry. I almost had a Series X. I guess I'll have to rely playing on my regular Xbox. All right, let's get back to this stupid show. So movies like Bad Boys for Life, which was 2020's top earning film at the box office. Wow, with $426.5 million. That's right, because it came out right before the shutdown. And then Birds of Prey came in at number 5 with 201, and that's a female movie with 3 women of color in the lead, I think. Journey and the police and the kid, maybe? I don't know. But it's a women-led movie. That's great. And Onward came in 7th, and that has mostly white people because it's Disney Pixar. They all contain casts that fell. No. Onward does not have the range of 41 to 50% minority, and do not show me numbers. Oh, here are the top movies with the leading race characters: Bad Boys for Life, Tenet. Jesus! It goes. They have lead race right next to it, and so it says like black, white. Mina. What does Mina mean? MENA. Who knows? The Croods, white, all white. Call the Wild, white, all white. But good for them. This is a meaningful step forward. Good for the audiences. Let's move along. Table 2. The top 10 streaming films in minority household share. Why is Onward? Oh my God. Onward is a white movie led by 2 white characters. And two of the people I dislike the most from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not a joke. Hamilton, Latinx, ranked 3rd. Oh, Jesus. And then Project Power ranked 9th. Good Lord. It's still got a long ways to go. But this is from UCLA, Social Sciences, College of Social Sciences. Minority households were represented among the household streaming 8 of the top 10 films in 2020, ranked by total household ratings. Minority households approached proportionate representation for the 2 remaining top 10 streaming films in 2020. Okay. Well, good for them. So, as more and more of these movies and shows become more diverse, this is just going to become the norm, and eventually people aren't going to notice, and they should not notice, if there is a person of color in the leading slot. Like, this shouldn't be a big deal. Because Bad Boys for Life is a better movie than Onward. It's true. God, I did not like Onward. Because I do not like Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. Yeah, it's a very true statement. I don't care what happens. But there was what was it? The Academy. What was it? The Academy inclusion standards. They set up standards in September of last year. We talked about this, that they're no longer accepting movies without significant on-screen representation. So you have to have, and by that I mean, and go listen to the episode that came out around that time. But by that I mean, they have a bunch of standards, and so lead actors have to be people of color. The general cast has to be 30% women or people of color or LGBTQ or people with disabilities. And then the storyline has to center around those same groups. But however, there's a lot of other standards too. The behind the scenes has to have a bunch of people of color, women, LGBTQ, all that stuff. But then the story has to surround. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But I dig it. And you can actually read the report right now. You can download the report. And I used to do episodes about that. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that in a minute because this and the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative. It all comes out. Throughout the year, so I try to cover it all at once or whatever. But hey, it looks like we did it. We covered the episode. You got to see me freak out about not getting an Xbox Series X. I don't need it. Who is? I'm still jobless, so whatever. But yeah, that's it. That's all that's going on. That's this is the Constitutionals. Oh my God, the Zoom recorder is dying. I haven't charged these batteries in 2 weeks probably. But yeah, that's the show. If you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where we've got sometimes interviews with famous people. Right now, none. But if you want to see a video version of the show, youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me sitting in my darkened corner of my dining room that now officially has a dining table in it that I sit at and I eat at instead of eating in front of the television like an animal. Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And also on youtube.com/peoplescomedy, you can see our premiere show, News Time Hour, whatever, who cares? The premiere show, News Time, which is like entertainment business news. It's like the Daily Show, except way less funny. I think it's a pretty funny show. I love doing it. This last week's episode is about Clubhouse, and it is Clubhouse is a new social app that's iOS only for the most part, and in the meantime, and it's based on exclusivity, and it's a place where it's basically Twitter but with audio, non-recorded, live, talking lectures, essentially lectures and live podcasting, where people like Elon Musk and the rest of Elon Musk, who's hosting SNL, which is the dumbest move. Like, Jesus, it's like Donald Trump hosting all over again, and he hosted twice. Boy. Anyway, it's a good episode. Check it out. I wanted it a little behind the scenes. I wanted that episode. That episode came out on Thursday, which usually episodes come out Monday, but now without me having a job, they come out whenever throughout the week. And if I was getting paid to do this, because they're good episodes. If I was getting paid, whoo boy. But anyway, I didn't. So it came out later in the week, and I didn't, since Clubhouse is notoriously not doing a good job about whatever like its release plan. I wanted to not script the episode and just do a bunch of bullet points, but then I ended up writing a whole script and a lot of good jokes, I must say, and having a good idea for a Clubhouse just hiding under the table. I thought that was funny, and the sign is still there; it's still hanging up. It says "Girls Allowed," and then parentheses it says "Please come." Girls allowed, please come. So anyway, check it out. Instagram, Twitter at C+ Comedy. Instagram, Twitter for myself at Chad Black White. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for listening. I very much appreciate it. Tell your friends, please. I'm leaving. Goodbye.